Rain needles the evening like it has an argument with the world. Wind pushes the jacaranda leaves across the cracked pavement. A black sedan idles at the curb, its engine humming low, almost apologetic. Michael stands at the small iron gate with his umbrella tilted against the gusts. His breath shows white in the air. His hand trembles once, then stills. He knocks. The old door, the one he promised to replace, groans. A chain rattles. Through the gap, a single eye looks out. Brown. Guarded. Evelyn. He swallows. Hi. No answer. Only the slow tick of a wall clock somewhere inside and the faint hiss of a kettle. Rain keeps talking. Tires hiss in the distance. The smell of wet dust and jasmine rises from the pot on the windowsill he brought home years ago on a bus, when they were broke and happy and the world was smaller. 5 years, he says, voice low. I'm not here to pull you back into anything. I'm not here with papers. Or lawyers. He stops. He has rehearsed speeches in boardrooms, in ballrooms, in front of cameras. Everyone collapses now like paper boats in floodwater. He steps back so she can see the empty driveway. No entourage. No bodyguard. Just the millionaire who turned their love into a casualty of speed and silence. Evelyn, he whispers. I brought something back that belonged to you. The chain doesn't move. Her eye flickers. On the porch, the light blinks weakly. He notices that broken flicker. He notices the second step that wobbles. He said he would fix it, then he didn't. How many tiny promises make one big goodbye? Emma said you might come, a voice from the hall says. Emma, the neighbor who used to borrow sugar and laughter, who now lends silence. Another pause. A long one. The kind that forces you to hear your own heart. He can feel that old life breathing behind this door. He could turn around. He could leave a box and a note and run. Have you ever stood where your past lives and felt your body forget how to be tall? Have you ever watched a rain-soaked street reflect a face you barely recognize? If you were him, would you knock again or let the weather answer? Metal slides. The chain falls. The door opens the length of a heartbeat. Evelyn is thinner. The light carves her cheekbones. She looks like someone who had to learn a new language. Quiet. She doesn't say his name. Doesn't say anything at all. He lifts a small, sanded wooden box from beneath his coat, its edges softened by time and thumb. As he does, the umbrella tips, rain taps his knuckles, cold and clean. I came to return this, he says. Her eyes drop to the box like a magnet found its metal. She steps back without a word. The door widens. The house breathes him in. He shuts the umbrella. Water ticks on the mat. He wipes his shoes. He can hear his heartbeat and the kettles nearly boiling, each racing the other. He crosses the threshold. The door closes behind him with a soft, final click. What in a man's hands could be heavier than money, or lighter than apology? And what if the only bridge left between two islands is made of something that sings? He places the wooden box on the kitchen table, and Evelyn's fingers hover over it, but she still won't speak. The kitchen smells like cardamom tea and old paint. The clock above the fridge ticks like rain on tin. On the wall, a calendar with soft pencil circles holds another life schedule. A child's drawing, crayons, messy sun, 2 stick figures and a smaller one in the middle. Their daughter's old art. Sophia. He blinks hard. Tea. A quiet voice asks from behind him. Emma. She keeps a respectful distance, eyes moving between the two like she's guarding a fragile glass bridge. Please, Michael says, but he isn't thirsty. He wants the clock to forgive him. He wants the floorboards to forget the night he slammed that door and didn't come back. He looks at Evelyn properly now. The lines at her mouth are deeper. Her hair is tied back with a black elastic. Her sweater is mended at the wrist with neat, patient stitches. Those hands used to hold his face when he came home too late. Those hands learned to hold nothing. He puts the box down gently. The wood is warm from his body. Hand-carved. Honey-colored. There's a tiny brass key turning pin at the bottom. The lid has a faint engraving, almost rubbed out, E&M. Evelyn glances at it, then away. Without words, she pours tea into 2 cups. The steam fogs the air. He wraps his fingers around the heat like it can teach him to be human again. I know you said you didn't want contact, he starts, voice skipping, and I respected that. I didn't want to come here like a storm. He exhales. Silence. The house creaks. Outside, a city bus exhales and pulls away. He studies the details no assistant could manage. The squeak in the left cabinet hinge. The tape on the corner of the rug where it curls. The chipped tile he stepped on when they danced barefoot the night they could finally afford a second-hand fridge. Remember this kitchen? He asks, almost to himself. You said the light painted the floor like a second window in the mornings. We ate cereal here from coffee mugs. His throat closes. Evelyn's face is still. The steam curls around her jaw. She doesn't look at him. She sips, sets the cup down, and the porcelain makes a tiny click, too loud for its size. He rolls his sleeves. He takes a small screwdriver from his coat pocket. Emma tilts her head. Evelyn watches, finally curious. He walks to the porch light. He unscrews it carefully. He wipes the inside with his handkerchief. He tightens the loose wire. He moves like someone who has learned that fixing small things is the only way to start. No speeches. No flowers. No diamonds. Just a man, a bulb, a memory. He turns the switch. The porch glows steady, not a flicker. For a heartbeat, the 3 stand in a golden circle that feels like yesterday. Would you trust a gesture that small after a silence that long? Have you ever noticed how a repaired light can make a room look like it's holding its breath? If you were Evelyn, would the glow soften you, or would it sting? He comes back to the table. He places the screwdriver beside the wooden box. I broke this, he says, tapping the lid with one knuckle. Years ago. The day I left, it fell. The spring jammed. I told myself I'd fix it tomorrow. Tomorrow took 5 years. Evelyn's eyes meet his for the first time. A flash. Lightning without thunder. He takes a breath. May I? She doesn't answer. But she doesn't stop him either. He turns the tiny brass key with careful, shaking fingers. The lid doesn't open, yet. He steps out to his car to fetch one last piece he almost forgot, and Emma whispers, "If this is what I think it is." If stories about second chances, quiet apologies, and small gestures breaking big walls speak to you, tap subscribe and like so more kind, emotional stories reach people who need them. Share this with a friend who believes in mending. Now, back to the moment. Michael returns with a thin velvet pouch. He sits, not on a chair, but on the floor, cross-legged by the table like the man who once ate instant noodles there and called it a feast. He spills a tiny part onto his palm, a new winding spring, polished, delicate as a whisper. I learned to mend it, he says softly. Robert showed me. Old watchmaker in a shop that smells like oil and thyme. He wanted to do it for me. I asked him to teach me instead. Burned these fingers once. He shows a faint pink line near his thumb. Worth it. He fits the spring. The brass pin takes. He closes the pouch. He doesn't look up. I didn't come to buy back the past. I came to return the sound it made. He turns the key, slow. 1 click, 2, 3. He lifts the lid. The melody steps out like a shy child from behind a curtain. The first notes are thin from disuse, then fuller, warmer, as if the wood remembers the shape of the song. It's the tune they dance to in a one-room apartment with white walls and no curtains, turning in small circles between a chair and a stack of boxes. It's the tune he wound on the night Sophia was born, crying into the curve of Evelyn's neck. It's the tune that fell silent when he did. Emma wipes a cheek quickly. She looks away, gives them the privacy of sound. Evelyn doesn't move at first. Then a tiny tremor runs through her shoulder. Her hand lifts, stops, lifts again. The melody finds the corner of her mouth, the slope of her collarbone, the space between her ribs. It fills the room like warm light under a door. "Do you hear it?" he whispers. It always knew our names." He sets the box in the center of the table and slides his hands away, palms open. He doesn't reach for her. He doesn't rush. He lets the notes do what his words can't. Have you ever had a smell, a song, a scrape-on would pry open a door you nailed shut? Can one small sound hold an entire decade? What song would break your silence if you swore you'd never speak again? He looks at the floor, not at her tears. "John used to say I could win any room," he murmurs. "The only room that mattered. I lost." He swallows. "I'm sorry." The melody catches on a single imperfect note, the same quiver it always had in the 8th bar where the gear's tooth isn't quite even. He remembers how she laughed the first time and said, "Our love hiccups there." He smiles, helpless. Evelyn's fingers, steady from years of mending tiny rips and cutting precise lines, reach forward. They hover above the box. She presses one fingertip lightly to the lid. The wood hums. The song flutters like a bird at a window. "Evelyn," he says, voice breaking, "I didn't come to ask forgiveness. I came to learn how to be useful again. How to be present." The music fades toward its loop. The last note hangs, a small silver bead in the air, impossible and perfect. Her lips part. In the hush between the last note and the first word, she finally breathes in to speak. Then a key turns in the front door. The key scrapes. The doorknob rattles. The drawing on the wall flutters in the draft. A backpack thuds against the entry table. "Mom." A young voice. Teenaged. Careful. "Sophia." Evelyn's eyes fly to the doorway, then to Michael. They widen. A storm of emotions flashes through them. Fear, anger, love, caution, memory, like sunlight through fast clouds. Sophia steps in, damp from the rain, ponytail dripping, a little taller than the last time he saw her on a playground he didn't stay at long enough. She stops when she sees him. Her face stiffens, then empties, like a screen that lost signal. "Hey, kiddo," he says, and the word kiddo feels like glass in his mouth and honey at the same time. Sophia doesn't respond. She looks at the music box. The tune is looping softly, shy now, non-intrusive, like it knows it has already done its work. "Why are you here?" she asks, voice flat. Michael doesn't stand. He stays on the floor, smaller, let it be level. "To return something that was yours," he says, nodding at the box. "And to listen." Sophia looks at Evelyn. Permission. Protection. Partnership. Evelyn lifts a hand, signaling wait. Then Evelyn's voice, unused, a little rough, finally breaks the air. "He fixed it," she says. 2 words. But they feel like a cathedral opening all its doors at once. Michael closes his eyes for half a beat. He wanted to hear anything. He got this. Sophia's gaze sharpens. "You broke it," she says to him. "I did," he answers. No defense. "And down the line, I broke more than a music box." Evelyn's mouth tightens. "You missed the night the fever spiked," she says, voice steadier. "You missed the school play. You missed the day She stops. A pause as heavy as stone. Silence. "I know," he says. "I was building towers so tall I couldn't see my own house. I'm not here to explain. I'm here to own it. To ask what you need, not what I want." Would you believe a man who finally doesn't try to hold the steering wheel of the conversation? If you were Sophia, what would you ask first? Why now, or what next? When the person who hurt you sits low and speaks soft, do you hear them, or the echo of old footsteps? Sophia wipes her face with the back of her wrist angrily, like tears owe her rent. She circles the table. The music trembles in the 8th bar. She looks at Evelyn. "It's the same," she says quietly, surprised by the mercy of memory. Evelyn nods once. He remembered the flaw. Michael smiles without showing teeth. "It was always our favorite part." Why now? Evelyn asks, finally giving the question shape. Michael thinks of boardrooms, funerals, flights at dawn that ran from nothing and toward nothing. He looks at his hands. Because someone I admired died and I gave a speech about legacy and realized mine was a house with lights off. He exhales. Because money is loud and I got tired of shouting. Because every empty hotel room sounded like this tune without the last note. He lifts his eyes. And because I realized the only way to show up is small. On time. With my hands. Sophia stares at him a long moment. Then she sits on the floor across from him, mirroring. She doesn't touch him. Not yet. But the ground between them is now a table that can hold a box and a conversation. From the hallway, Emma retreats quietly, a smile tucked in her sleeve. Sophia reaches into her backpack, pulls out 2 frayed green hair ribbons he used to tie, and says, "If you remember how, prove it." The ribbons lie on Sophia's palm like river grass. Faded. Soft from years of being washed with the rest of the week. They smell faintly of shampoo and rain. Michael's throat tightens. "I bought those at a corner stall when the boutique was closed," he says, a little laugh sneaking in, uninvited but honest. "You cried because they weren't purple. Then you decided green was for brave." Sophia fights a smile. Loses. "You remember. Some things stuck," he says. "Not enough. But some." He reaches. Stops. "May I?" She nods once. He moves behind her. His hands shake for a second, then steady like they do when he signs something that matters. He parts her hair, works the ribbon through with an ease learned in a kitchen that had no barstools and a clock that ticked too fast. He loops, crosses, pulls, ties. The bow sits a little lopsided. It always did. Evelyn watches his hands. Watches the humility move up his arms and into his shoulders. Watches a man who used to measure success in square footage measure it now in knots. He steps back. "Still lopsided," he says. Sophia turns, hair swinging. She checks the knot in the window's reflection. She leaves it. "Perfect," she replies, and the word lands like a small bird finally choosing a branch. The music box plays its loop again. The house breathes bigger. Rain lightens. The porch light holds steady, a halo on the steps. "What now?" Evelyn asks, practical and brave. "Whatever you say," Michael answers. "I won't move fast. I won't move loud. I can start with the step. The squeaky cabinet. The chipped tile." He glances at Sophia. "Saturday mornings at the park, if that works. I'll be there 10 minutes early. I'll bring coffee. No calls. No, anything else." Sophia studies his face like a map she used to know. "Sundays, not Saturdays," she says, testing. "And you bring the old kite." He nods. "Done." "Boundaries," Evelyn adds, chin lifting. "No surprise visits. No, I'm outside texts. You ask. You accept no. You don't buy your way past either of us." "Yes," he says. "Thank you for telling me how." He slips something from his wrist, the watch everyone recognizes from magazines, and sets it face down on the counter, next to a wobbly mug with a chip shaped like a crescent moon. "I don't want to measure today," he says. "I just want to be in it." They stand together, not touching, but this closeness feels truer than old embraces that kept score. The melody hiccups at the 8th bar. 3 faces turn toward the same small sound and, for a moment, the room is a single heartbeat. "Dad," Sophia says suddenly, the word catching them both by surprise. She steps forward and hugs him quick, firm, shoulders clenched like she might regret it later and wants to make sure she won't. He smells her hair. He closes his eyes. He doesn't cry out loud. His chest does. Evelyn doesn't rush in. She lets it be theirs. Then she steps closer and puts a hand on Sophia's back. The triangle closes. He pulls away first. "The step," he says, voice clearing. He kneels on wood that learned his weight long ago. He pries the board. He measures with his fingers. He moves with the quiet competence of a man who finally understands that the smallest repairs are the bravest. Nails. Wood glue. Pressure. Time. Emma. Evelyn calls softly into the hallway, half laughing, half crying. Do you have a spare clamp? Emma appears instantly. Always, she grins, producing one like a magician. They set the clamp. They wait. The music box winds down and rests, its lid still warm. Have you ever realized that the grand gesture is only grand because it opens the door for 1,000 small ones? If a song can hold a decade, can a fixed step hold a future? What one gentle act, tied ribbon, steady light, repaired board, could you do today to begin a bridge you've been afraid to build?